damnation. We've made it halfway through the week. And these days, that is something to celebrate because, I mean, what is happening? There is so much going on. It was hard to kind of put together what the news was going to be that I was going to cover. But, you know, I pray, I pray that Donald Trump is brought down by his own people, that the monster that he created, Epstein and the files and the drama that Donald Trump created over the last 10 years, I pray to God that this is what brings this man down. I don't know if it'll be soon, but I pray that it is going to be the monster that Donald Trump created in MAGA that is his downfall. That is what I hope, and that is where we start today. Dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show, buckle up. It's a lot of news to get through. Oh, and by the way, Florida is just doing away with vaccines. So I guess they don't want anyone coming to visit that hellhole of a fucking state. Hello, damnation, and welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. We begin today, friends, with what I think is incredibly important, which is what is happening with the health and well-being of 330 million Americans whose care is now under the non-doctor, conspiracy theorist, former drug addict, RFK Jr. Well, states have now started to decide that, guess what? Remember how I talked yesterday about soft secession and talked about what folks are preparing to do in these blue states, and how governors are uniting and how they are thinking about withholding their resources. Now we're moving closer and closer to just taking away the soft part and just saying we're in a secession. So this is how it's moving and looking today on the West Coast. This is according to the New York Times. Snubbing Kennedy, states say they will offer their own vaccine guidance. California, Oregon, and Washington said they could work together to review scientific data, saying the CDC could no longer be trusted. But Florida said it would abolish all vaccine mandates altogether. So 3 Democratic-controlled West Coast states announced plans on Wednesday to form a health alliance that would review scientific data and make vaccine recommendations for their residents, saying that the federal agency responsible for issuing such guidance for the country had become, quote, a political tool that increasingly peddles ideology instead of science. The move, which comes at a time of unparalleled turmoil at the agency, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is an effort by California, Oregon, and Washington to take scientific stewardship into their own hands after Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vaccine skeptic, has taken control of the CDC's vaccine decisions. Other states, including several in the Northeast, are considering joining a similar effort. Hours after Western states' announcement, Florida announced it was going in a starkly different direction. The Surgeon General said that the state would end all vaccine mandates, including for children to attend schools, claiming in a news conference that each mandate drips with disdain and slavery. Just going to let that hang there for a moment. Florida's governor, Ron DeSantis, a Republican, a Satanist, a piece of garbage, endorsed the plan, though it was not immediately clear whether it would require legislative input. But who cares? Because Florida, the cesspool that it is, run by Republicans into the fucking ground, all they're going to do is clap like seals at the possibility of more kids dying of measles and getting other types of sicknesses and illnesses that had been, at historic all-time lows or completely eradicated are going to be back, and Florida will be their fucking petri dish. Folks, I feel bad for people that live in Florida. I truly do. I feel bad for people that are unable to leave the oppressive, backwards 19th century state of Texas. I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip, of Florida. But my God, to be a parent in that state, to get this headline today, your kids already don't have fucking books in the library. The teachers have already left the state. Your curriculum is already trashed. Your test scores are in the garbage. And on top of that, your kid is now going to come home sick. I mean, Florida is just over there batting 1,000. And I'm sure that Texas will say, hold my beer, as will Alabama and all of these other red states, to make disease great again. So I'm saying right now, folks, mark my words. This country is headed towards a civil war. Like, it is not anything that I want. It isn't anything that I say with ease or with glee whatsoever. But the movements that are happening at the federal level for states to come out and start saying that we no longer trust our agencies, that we are going to be running shit ourselves, and we're talking about withholding billions of dollars to the federal government because you're no longer providing us with a fucking thing. How long do you think that this situation is going to be tenable? How long do you think that it is until Donald Trump has troops on the ground in every state that opposes him and this regime? Like, this is going to head to a battle royale that I do not want to see. But I'm telling you that MAGA does not have a live and let live mentality. They want to control everyone and everything. So you're going to see the federal government wage lawsuits against these states for not following their guidelines, right? But then the same conservative fucking justices that have allowed red states to deny abortion care, to arrest doctors, to do whole sorts of things based on states' rights, blue states are now going to use that states' rights mentality to protect their constituents. So at the end of the day, I do not see a way where we become the divided states of America and that doesn't end in bloodshed. I pray that it doesn't, but folks, there is not one indicator that I am seeing right now that is saying to me, oh, we'll get things under control. No, I think that more states are going to function as if we no longer have a government. And that, to me, to everyone, should be terrifying, because it means that we no longer have faith that this place can be restored. I said it earlier today with Waj on our midweek check-in show on Substack. That article and video is up right now on my Substack. I said, I was with my extended family earlier today, and they're like, my Jamaican family, they're like, Danielle, all empires crumble. Right? What you need to, and these people are willing, right, to die of their whiteness, to die of their stupid. Also, Black and brown people don't get anything more than what it is that they have, and they are willing to die. And so my family said, you know what? Grow your own fruits, grow your own vegetables, take care of yourself, stay in optimal health. and move out of the way of these white people that are just trying march into their death because the empire is falling and you don't want to be caught under the rubble. Let me tell you, you don't have to tell me but twice, okay? Because here's the thing. I'm like, I am here to connect the dots for people to understand how this is happening, why this is happening, who's responsible for it, et cetera, et cetera. But you all need to start making decisions about your own lives and livelihood and what it is that you want to be doing, because this ship here is in fact the fucking Titanic. It is. And thinking that you're going to have a midterm election that is somehow going to save us, or a presidential election, when this man is literally, he has his cards out on the table and he is playing all of them right now with no opponent, just running the fucking table. So if you know that Donald Trump is thinking, well, there's a couple of things I got to do. I got to bomb some folks so that I can suspend elections like Zelensky got to do, right? That he said audibly and cheerfully in the Oval Office. Oh, so you mean you got to suspend elections because you were at war? What a great idea. That's what Donald Trump said. I played the clip last week. So you see him. What did he do? Bombed a Venezuelan ship out of fucking nowhere. Okay. Because you're trying to gas up a war. And then if you can't do that externally, then guess what you're going to try and pull domestically? You're sending all of these National Guard soldiers, you're sending the military into these cities, hoping for what? Provocation. So then you can justify martial law and the beat back of unruly citizens that you're going to suspend their right to assemble, to speak out, to dissent. So, folks, I say this, that this situation as is untenable. And it's getting increasingly worse. And the more that people who happily, like seals, clapped and voted for Donald Trump, and everyone around them is starting to become sick, everyone gets kicked off of their health care, right? The schools are now gutted, so their children have no possibilities. Folks, the writing is on the wall in so many ways. The America that we knew, that we grew up in, that America is dead. Whatever comes next, comes next. But the America that you're hoping and praying and holding on to, you know, by your fingernails, that shit is a wrap. It's a wrap. And the sooner people understand that, the better you will be and clearer you will be to make decisions about what you and your family do next. You heard it here first. I'm just here delivering what I believe to be true, dear friends. Delivering what I believe to be true. And here's the thing, right? Just going back to these what Florida is doing. The differing state moves underscored the increasingly disjointed nature of vaccine policy across the country. States have always set their own vaccine policy and mandates for school children, but those rules were based upon national recommendations put forth by the CDC. Now that all 17 experts on the agency's advisory panel, folks, have been fired by Kennedy, several of them replaced by vaccine skeptics, the opaque federal landscape has led to a hodgepodge of state moves. Again, we are no longer the United States of America. Over the last 10 years of Trumpism, there has been a concerted effort to break apart and break down America. So now you have states moving in lockstep with like-minded states in order to protect their constituents. So they're not looking at the whole anymore. Oh, what's good for the country? It's like, no, what the fuck is good for the West Coast? What is good for the East Coast? Can the East and West Coast, can they work together? This is the thinking that is moving this country forward because our agencies and our federal government can't be fucking trusted. So I tell people now, I said this earlier, go to your general practitioners. For you, for your elderly parents and grandparents, for your children, get fucking vaccinated. Get whatever it is, testing and the like that you need done, get it done now. Because I do not think that by the end of the year, it is going to be an option. This is also, folks, tied to eugenics. Like, you have to understand what these people's end game is, right? They are trying, oh my God. They're trying to kill us. They're trying to ensure that the most vulnerable among us dies, right? It was first liberate Michigan, liberate Florida, take off your masks, spit, cough, sneeze on everyone and everything, even though we're telling you that you could possibly be killing people. They didn't care. And so now they're going to take away your ability to even keep yourself safe, because that's how much control they want over your entire life. They want control over your life, your reproduction, and your death. When I say to you that I don't trust a fucking thing in the grocery store these days, coming back from Europe and realizing how different the food tastes there versus whatever food stuff we're being given here. These are the things that we never had to be concerned with because there were agencies whose job it was to protect our food, to protect our medicine, to provide us with the guidelines so that we knew how to keep ourselves healthy and safe. All of those people have been fired. So I need folks to get it together. That may look like planting and growing your own fucking food. Call it a liberation garden. I don't care what it's called. But what I'm saying is, what you can control, y'all need to start controlling. What you can do for yourself and your neighbors, you all need to start doing for yourself and your neighbors. Because I'm telling you, one way or another, these people are trying to kill us. And this is not hyperbole. This is firing doctors and scientists and researchers 5 years after a global health pandemic killed over 1 million Americans. Moving on. Also happening today on Capitol Hill, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein were on Capitol Hill today holding a press conference speaking out against Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and this entire cover-up that is happening led by this administration. Epstein victims call for release of more documents and accountability. The accusers' demands come as some Congress members push to compel the release of the full investigative file on Jeffrey Epstein. Steps away from the Capitol, victims of Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier and sex offender and pedophile, on Wednesday demanded that all people who received sexual favors through Mr. Epstein be identified. They also demanded that Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime associate of Epstein, who was serving 20 years for sex trafficking, serve her full sentence without special treatment. Well, she's already received special treatment because she was moved from a high federal security prison to a low level security prison, right? You know, so that she could get better treatment. As was said here, right? That happened back in July. This is after having an interview with Trump's DOJ where she said, Trump, don't know him, didn't see him, never been there. Now, how about that pardon? During the interview, Maxwell, who is seeking a presidential pardon or reduction of her sentence, downplayed Trump's long friendship with Epstein and praised the president. Of course she did. The victims' demands arrive as members of Congress from both parties are pushing for a bill that would demand the administration release all of its investigative material on Epstein. We're not asking for pity. We are demanding accountability, said Lisa Phillips, one of the victims who spoke on Wednesday. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators or will you finally protect survivors? Transparency is justice. The Epstein files have become a burden for Trump, who has for months urged his base not to focus on them after telling them to focus on them for a decade, right? So it was all good and fine. Epstein. Oh, Bill Clinton was with them. Oh, Prince Andrew was with them. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. But then I don't know. I don't understand what Donald Trump was thinking, to be honest. You know your relationship with this man. You know that people have seen you. You know that there are pictures. And you know what is in these files because you were told back in May by your Department of Justice. So why in God's name he would have made this one of his entrees into the political sphere, that and birtherism? I have no fucking clue. Knowing that everything can come back to you. Fucking dummy. They go on to say, she and other victims, Miss Phillips, were compiling a list of people who were regularly in the Epstein world. She said the work would be done by survivors and for survivors. And funny enough, guess who said that they would read out those names on the House floor? Wait for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Miss MAGA herself. Miss, I waited for Donald Trump on the tarmac only for him to walk the other way. Marjorie fucking Taylor Greene was at that presser on Capitol Hill and said, if you put together the list, I'll read it out on the House floor. We know who was involved, they go on to say. We know the game, said Haley Robson, another victim who talked about wanting accountability. We're sitting here for 20 years waiting. Epstein's voluminous file contains many records that have not been made public. Those records became the focus of claims long stoked by Trump allies that the authorities might have covered up the involvement of other rich and powerful men. Epstein, who died by suicide in July in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges, had long been connected to those men, cultivating friendships with Trump, Bill Clinton, and others. This is one of the victims who spoke out today on Capitol Hill. Hold on, let me play this. The video is janky. Let's see if we can get it for you.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
I just want us all to understand the amount of courage that it takes to do what these women are doing. They're talking on Capitol Hill about these files that include the president of the United States that has been on his tour of retribution, that can easily sick his entire base on these women, on these people. This is so brave, and they shouldn't have to be forced out into the public to be re-traumatized again in order to get Congress, the Department of Justice, anyone to give a damn more about the victims of sex trafficking, pedophilia, and abuse, more so than they do the predators who line their coffers. It's just so disgusting. And then there was Congressman Garcia, who was speaking with Aaron Parnas, who confirms that the White House has launched a pressure campaign, because of course they have. Because again, if Donald Trump were innocent, if this proved his innocence at all, guess what Donald Trump would be doing? Selling it on Truth Social. But instead, he is waging a pressure campaign against Republicans who dare sign this petition.
I'm here with Congressman Robert Garcia, the leading Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. We just left the press conference with Epstein survivors. Congressman, what do people need to know right now in this moment?
Look, right now, Donald Trump and Pam Bondi have the power to release all the files, and they're choosing not to do so. Everything that they've sent out so far, over 97% of what they've already put out was already available to the public. And so they've put out nothing new. But this is a huge cover-up. These women, at the time, many of them were girls, are experiencing horrific trauma. They're telling us right now to release all the files. They're telling the president and Republicans to sign on to this petition, this discharge petition, to get the files all released. But Republicans are refusing to do so. So why are we involved in this cover-up? What is Donald Trump hiding? It's important for people to remember that the Attorney General has told Donald Trump that he's in the files. We know this has been widely reported. We need to know where he's in the files, what the information says, and who was involved in this horrific trafficking of young girls. There's a lot of connections that go back to Florida, that go back to Palm Beach, that go to this trafficking ring of young girls. That's what we need to investigate and ensure that we do everything we can to protect future people and women from being trafficked, but also to get justice for these people.
Now, is it true that the White House is conducting a pressure campaign right now to prevent Republicans from signing on to this discharge
I know
petition?
for a fact the White House is calling Republican members right now, telling them not to sign the petition.
Wow.
And so again, there is an active cover-up happening right now by the White House.
Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So again, how Donald Trump is moving is not the movements of an innocent man. And also, somebody just said it in the chat. Oh, so you're waging a pressure campaign against Republicans on a hoax? Because if there's nothing to see here, folks, then you just let it rock. But instead, you are doubling down and telling people, oh, there's nothing to see here. And also, I'll come for you, your family, et cetera, if you dare vote for the release. And let me tell you something. This is one of the few things that Americans actually agree on right now, which is over 60% of the public wants the Epstein files released. This country, this party that's supposed to give a shit about the kids, right? The same party that allows them to be gunned down in their fucking classrooms or gunned down while they're praying. allows them to be sex trafficked and abused by wealthy men, also that what? They can continue with their insider trading, continue to get their PACs filled. This goes all the way to the fucking top. So many people, regardless of party, are implicated in this, which is why they do not want this released. This is not just about Donald Trump. This is about wealthy, fucking powerful men that abuse girls and women. Treat them as nothing more than toys to break and traumatize because they fucking can. Because no one holds them accountable, because no one gives a shit about girls or women. Because if we did, as soon as Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, this shit would have come out. And he wouldn't have been the only one waiting behind fucking bars. This man was running a multi-billion-dollar operation. And you're telling me that all of a sudden, no, the banks didn't know shit? The CEOs of the banks didn't know shit? Didn't ask any questions? I can't buy certain fucking medicine at CVS without my bank saying, oh my God, is this you? But you can run $1 billion fucking dollars through JP Morgan and the rest of them? And no one is the wiser? No flags coming out? Nothing wondering what paintings that you're moving or what business. The man has no finance skills whatsoever, but somehow was running the portfolios of some of the most wealthy people in the fucking country and around the world, and nobody thought that that was fucking weird. I'm telling you, if you want to know, follow the money. If you want to know the truth, follow the money. You want to know who's on the list? Follow the money. Follow the money, and the money will lead you to the rot. And I'm telling you, folks, that until this country is gutted, it is like when you see like gangrene or some type of flesh-eating bacteria. That is what is inside of America. It is racism. It is greed. It is misogyny that has been eating at and festering inside the core of this country. And until it is gutted and cleaned and exposed, the rot will spread. So I don't give a fuck if it is Bill Clinton in those files. I don't care if it is, I don't care who is in it. Release them. I just, I find it so repugnant. And I want you to listen for a second to Donald Trump, who knew that Scott Jennings had a radio show? Like, who the fuck listens to him? But listen to Donald Trump about going after the people that are not loyal.
So we have a thing that's happening, and I do bring a unity to the Republican Party. Do you know, almost every single person I've endorsed has won.
Yeah.
Which is a lie.
I can't think of anyone who hasn't. If I endorse a person, they win. And I do well in the elections, too. I don't want to put that down, because with the Republican Party, it's like 399-0. Think of that. And many of those are insurgents, people that I like better. I didn't like a certain Republican. And, we like this guy, Massie. He's going to be taken out. He's no good. He never votes. He never votes for anything, It's like he's from Kentucky. He's always a no vote. It's like automatic. If it's good or bad, he thinks he gets publicity by voting now. We call him Rand Paul Jr. But it's terrible, some of these guys. So sometimes you have to take them out, and I do, and I win.
So he wants to take out Tom Massie because Tom Massie, along with Khanna, has bipartisan legislation and a petition to release the fucking files. And he's a Republican. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. Release the files. Tom Massie is a horrible, racist, disgusting person. Even a broken clock can be right twice a day. And on this issue, Massie is right. But who is getting ready to attack him? Calling him an insurgent and saying that we got to, quote, take these people out? This is only saying that language a couple of months after, the Democratic speaker in Minnesota was shot and killed alongside her husband and her dog. Take them out, insurgent. Folks, they keep showing their asses. You know who else is showing their ass? I was going to say something, but I'm just going to say this woman. Susan Collins, who loves to clutch her pearls and be so disappointed, but still goes along with the MAGA misogynist gang. Come to find out, thank you, Rolling Stone, Susan Collins raked in not $1, but $2 million from a private billionaire equity exec a day before she voted to advance Trump's big bullshit billionaire bailout. Senator Susan Collins did not vote for Trump's signature piece of legislation, a massive package of tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans financed by slashing an estimated $1 trillion from Medicaid. I did the right thing for the people of Maine, and I'm so proud of my no vote. But before she voted against it, Collins cast a critical vote to advance the legislation because it wasn't going to advance at a committee. And then she voted to advance it, which is projected to kick at least 10 million people off of their health insurance. And she cast the vote just one day after private equity billionaire Steve Schwarzman, the chair of Blackstone Group and a man who will personally reap huge rewards from the bill, kicked in $2 million towards her reelection effort. On June 27th, Schwarzman gave $2 million to Pine Tree Results PAC, a super PAC backing Collins. On January 28th, Collins cast a decisive vote, allowing Trump's big bill to advance to the floor. The vote was 51-49, with Can't Dance Vance casting the breaking tie vote. But she wants to clutch her pearls. She wants to tell us how hard it was for her to cast a vote that kicks 10 million people off of healthcare. She wants to tell you how bad she feels as she's counting her millions. Fuck you, Susan Collins. The bill went on to pass, as we all know, in the Senate, and to Schwarzman, the billionaire's delight, since the legislation both extended the pass-through business deduction treasured by the owners of private equity firms and made it permanent, allowing partnerships to deduct 20% of their pre-tax income. Blackstone did not respond to a request for comment. But why do they need to comment? Because now their tax breaks are forever. And they're laughing all the way to the bank and laughing at us and spiting us all the way. So to Susan Collins, I say, fuck you. And I hope the good people of Maine one day wake up and decide that maybe they'll get a new senator. Just maybe. Speaking of following the money, I want you to take a listen to AOC, who, along with some of her colleagues, has introduced a bipartisan piece of legislation that I don't think will go far because she wants to end insider trading. But that's how they all make their money.
Anyone says, this isn't fair, I'm going to have to divest all my stocks if I'm going to run for Congress, maybe you should stay home. I think that, as someone, I ran for office, I was a waitress, plenty of people have to make tons of sacrifices to run for office. But I think that really the idea that this is some undue burden is outrageous. And the fact of the matter is, respectfully, and I know I may offend some of my colleagues here, but millionaires are very overrepresented in Congress, and no offense.
I wish I were more offended.
Little too many here. And with respect to the proportion of the American people, and if we want a Congress that reflects the actual country that we seek to represent and fight for, we need to have working class people who live here. And I actually believe, and who work here, and I feel that actually banning the trade of individual stock can help even the playing field, and perhaps open the door to other provisions that can make this an easier place for working class people to get elected to and serve.
And the fact is that, friends, I appreciate AOC for the introduction of this legislation that would ban stock trading. So the group unveiled a compromise bill to ban stock trading by individual members of Congress and their families on Wednesday. The legislation, titled the Restore Trust in Congress Act, is expected to combine and reconcile several previously introduced bills to ban congressional stock trading by members of Congress, according to an advisory. Chip Roy, Seth Magaziner, Brian Fitzpatrick, Pramila Jayapal, Tim Burchett, and AOC are among the members that presented that you saw. The proposal follows the Senate Homeland Security Committee in July voting to advance a bill to ban stock trades by members of Congress and the president and vice president. Senator Josh Hawley was the only Republican who joined with Democrats to advance the legislation. The requirement in that bill would not apply until the start of the elected officials' next terms, meaning it would exempt Trump if it was enacted. The fact is, like I continue to say, and I probably should have entitled the show this, follow the money. The money is at the root of everything that is being done against us, right? Well, I'll go back to the food example again. Why am I in Europe and I'm tasting tomatoes and actually tasting the tomatoes? And I'm eating the food and I'm saying, God, this tastes so amazing. Now, of course, I'm in Europe, so yes. But also, why does the food taste so good? Oh, I don't know, because they have passed legislation time and time again to make it so that mass producers can't poison their people. So things that are allowed to be in our food and food stuff in America is banned in Europe, where they have lower cancer rates and lower obesity rates and lower diabetes rates. But here in America, no. You allow for big food to be able to fuck around with what we put in our bodies because you get a kickback for it. Because that money goes in to serving representatives and senators in their PACs, in their campaigns. So they get the green light to fucking poison you. Even though those same companies take those ingredients out of their food to sell in other countries. But our lawmakers don't give a fuck. It's the same thing with Big Pharma and why your insurance is through the roof and why you can't get certain medications, because the representatives and the senators get kickbacks from Big Pharma. It's why your water can be polluted and why we don't have the kind of green innovation in transportation that other nations have. Why? Because big oil gives, and big coal gives major kickbacks to politicians that vote to keep our country dirty and dependent. Everything goes back to money. If there were money in a cure, we would have cures for a variety of diseases. But there isn't money in a cure. There is money in keeping you just sick enough They've known for so long, doctors, nurses, etc. You know what's a good cure for a lot of the ailments that we have? Fresh air, exercise, whole foods, right? Better diet. But they don't tell you any of those things. Why? Because they get kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies. So here's another pill. Oh, you have high blood pressure? You have, this kind of problem, this kind of problem. Here's a pill for it. Here's a pill for it. Here's a pill for it. They're not going to tell you, maybe you should go swim. Maybe you should go for a walk. Maybe you should sit in nature. Maybe you should meditate. Maybe you should eat more fruits and vegetables. And why do your fruits and vegetables taste the way that they do? Oh, why do I have to pay more for you not to poison me? And then they call that organic? Meanwhile, that's the shit that they're just selling in other countries. But here, they poison the food and then they charge you more to not be as poisoned as everyone else. And we just think that this shit is normal because you've been brainwashed and indoctrinated into believing that somehow America is the greatest place on the fucking planet. Meanwhile, if you look at our numbers, health-wise, education-wise, environmental-wise, economically-wise, that couldn't be further from the fucking truth. Wake up, friends. Take off the rose-colored glasses. Take the wool from over your eyes. You've been had. You've been fed a lie because it was perpetuating a system of oppression that now only some folks are waking up to and saying, oh my God. And it all goes back to money. Who can profit on you being fat and sick and undereducated? And then you will find the source. And unfortunately, here, the source is both parties. Just one is actively now the American fascist cult, no longer the GOP. And they are telling you everything that you need to know. But the quote unquote resistance party that is supposed to be the Democratic Party is nowhere to be found. Because either their hand is in AIPAC's jar, or their hand is in Big Pharma's jar, or Big Food's jar, all pretending that they have your best interests at heart while they're pocketing millions of dollars in their PACs. Folks, the whole system is rotten. The entirety of it. And if there is anything good, to come from the devastation that Trump has ushered into this country, it is that all of this is going to collapse. It is collapsing. And we should not be paining ourselves with holding together systems that were not built to work for everybody. Let them die. So that we can use what we know, what we've learned, and build something better instead of patchworking the fucking Titanic that's already hit the iceberg and is sinking. We don't need more Band-Aids. We need reconstruction. That is it for me today, dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. Folks, I am but 98 subscribers away from 30,000. 98 subscribers away from 30,000. As you know, I will never put any of my content behind a paywall. But if you would like to, you can provide super stickers and super thanks as a way to show your appreciation, which so many people do. But the easiest thing, just hit subscribe. For the 580 or some odd people that are watching right now, hit subscribe. Push me over the edge. Let us grow, damnation. Let us continue building out this community. So like, comment, subscribe, share this. And I appreciate all of you. And I've taken all of your thoughts around launching memberships into consideration. I'll have more information for you guys next week on the decision that I make. But again, even if I launch memberships, just know the content will remain free. It's just another opportunity for people to be able to monetarily support on a regular basis. So again, hit subscribe, like, comment, share. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, for the Danielle Moodie Show as we close out the week here. As always, dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these wildly dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. For those on Substack, check out my latest with Waj. The midweek check-in is up now. And again, if you have not subscribed on Substack, the Damn Digest, do consider subscribing there as well. The content is good. Again, never will be behind a paywall. But if you have a few bucks, consider becoming a paid subscriber over at the Damn Digest on Substack. All right, folks, I will see you tomorrow. Be well, do something good for yourselves. Take deep breaths, go for a walk, touch a tree, put your feet in some grass. All right, be well.